And we are live. Good morning, everybody, or good evening, good day, whenever you decide to watch this. I am ready. It's Monday. I'm here. Got a haircut this weekend. I feel good. I'm excited to talk to you guys about going from E to P. Who knows what that is? Well, we're Keller Williams, so I think we're supposed to know what it is. But I was not extremely familiar with it either until now. So E to P, entrepreneurial to purposeful. That's what we're going to talk about. All right, let's get started with our intro. Hello. See, I gotta have the music. It just puts me in a good mood. So I want to start with a little story about my parents, my dad and my mom. So my dad, I'll put a little picture of them. See, do I look like him? People say I look like him. A little bit, maybe. He's not all sweaty. We just did the Maid of the Mist tour at Niagara Falls, so they're a little wet right there. They came by no, it was this summer they came to visit, and of course you got to take people to Niagara Falls. Anyways, I've noticed as my dad gets older, and maybe this is just all people in general as they get older, they want to impart wisdom on the younger generation. So I notice I do that with my kids, and I feel obligated to tell people what they're doing wrong in their lives. It's always trying to be helpful. But he's got rental properties, and we were talking about that. And it's kind of looking back at things. He's semi-retired now, and his entire life, he's always been entrepreneurial, meaning he got into real estate because it was a good deal at the time, right? He already had a renter for a property, so he bought it. He was entrepreneurial. He knew we could make some money with it, so he did it. Being entrepreneurial, he also ended up buying lots of other stuff because it was a good deal that he could turn into money at some point. So he's got conveyor belts, tractors, equipment that I don't even know what it does, but in his mind, it was a good value and he could make money on it one day. So we were talking about the real estate piece because he said, out of everything, the real estate rentals has been the best because it's been consistent. They, pay themselves off and then repay themselves off, and that's been consistent. And he tells me, if he could do it again, he'd suffer a little bit more, meaning he would have worked harder to get more properties. And then I told him, and I wasn't trying to be mean, I told him, as I imagine if you had a plan where you could have been. And granted, he's done very well for himself, so there's no dig on him. And he said, if I would have been deliberate with my real estate instead of buying all this other stuff, which was entrepreneurial, he said, I probably would have had 10 times what I have now. And I was like, whoa, that was a great take on being purposeful versus being entrepreneurial. Okay. So let's roll into that now. And I got to use my trusty marker. Okay. So everybody, when we get in, let's just take real estate. We start in it, right? And we start going up. Things are good. We're excited. We're just starting out, right? And then what happens? We hit a ceiling at some point, right? And what is this ceiling indicative of? This ceiling is our natural ability. I don't even know why I bother writing it on there. I don't know if you guys can read that, but it's our natural ability. And everybody's ceiling is going to be a little bit different, all right? Everybody's natural ability is going to take them to a different level. However, it is only going to take them so far. We will reach a ceiling. And there's only one way. Well, there's several ways, but we got to break through that, right? So, boom, we change something, new processes, new whatever, boom. And then we'll hit another ceiling at a higher level. And it's the same process over and over again. Oh, we break through and then we go. What's cool about when we break through whatever was our previous ceiling, right, is now our floor. That's where we're starting from. And I've noticed that in just my own personal business, right? I hit a ceiling at the previous company I was at. And I was thinking about this. There's a lot of companies whose system and model is good for getting somebody to a certain production level. And then that's it. They're there and now they're dependent and they can't get through because they were not taught this. Wait, before I get to that, do you guys want to break through your natural ability ceiling? If you don't, that's okay. Because honestly, for me, my natural ability ceiling, well, I had to add some little process in there. I was happy with it. Was I number one? No. Was I killing it? No. But I was happy. I was content. So there's nothing wrong with hitting a ceiling and just being happy there. But if our goal is bigger than where our ceiling is, we've got to adjust our ceiling. Does that make sense? Yes and yes. Okay. So I'm talking to those who want to break through that natural ability ceiling and just to have a new way of life. And it's kind of funny because like just in business, we get used to stuff, right? So the first time we might have 5 deals a month, it may seem crazy busy, but then we get used to it. And then if we have anything less than 5 deals a month or 4 or 3, whatever the number is, it doesn't seem busy anymore. We adjust. Unfortunately, it works with getting heavier. It just, you get comfortable with the weight you're at. But anyways, so our natural ceiling. So do you guys want to know the tips to get through your natural ability? So the first thing to break through that is going to be focus. So like with my dad, he knew he wanted to make money because he was entrepreneurial, right? He knew he wanted to make money, but he didn't have a clear goal on how to get there. Find strategic options. How can this be done? Are there different and better ways to do it? So like with us, so if we want to be a 20 million, 40 million, $50 million producer, is there somebody in the ecosystem that's doing it? Yes. Would it be a good idea to see what they're doing, to see what their systems are and copy them? I think so, right? Why not? If they did it, we could do it. Even if we don't do it as well and you come in at 39 million instead of 40 million, it's still not a bad day. Find models to follow. Attend training that teaches you how to get where you want to go. Identify mentors with people who have done this. So, interesting thing with my dad. My dad's not a big reader, but he always hung around pretty smart people. And so they always talked about real estate. So our old world is oil and gas in New Mexico. We weren't big oil tycoons. We did well. My dad did well. He's still doing well. But all the people he would talk to, these big business owners, would always tell him to buy real estate. That is how they planned on getting out of whatever business they were in, was through owning real estate. So he had that in there, that buying property was a good idea. He didn't know exactly what models to follow. Okay. Install systems. That is one of the biggest breakthroughs people are going to have, is when we start having systems. So when we're entrepreneurial, right, we get to a point where our business is down and we hustle. We know what to do. We just start hustling so we can get the business back up where we want it. Okay. If we want to go to a bigger ceiling, we need to create systems in place. That way it's not just, oh man, my pendings are down. I mean, what's the worst feeling is having 0 pending. It's funny. We don't care if we closed anything. We just feel broke if we don't have any pending. So we start hustling to get more pending. That's not purposeful. That's entrepreneurial. So time block, create checklists, test the systems, right? We talk about that. Lead with revenue. So for example, say we're building a lead generation system and we're putting money into it. Start with $100, $200, whatever. See how it works, see how you're doing. Then we add more money to it. We don't just come in and dump 20,000 on something. We build it, we test it, make sure it's working, and then we grow it to achieve our goals. Bring in accountability. Keep track with your 411, measure what you do, and have an accountability partner. So just kind of going back to my dad, he never had a clear goal. I love the man. I'm not picking on him. I promise. I could say this about me, and I guarantee there's a lot of us out there that could use themselves as an example. But he never had a goal of how many properties he wanted. He never had a goal of how much income he wanted the properties to bring in. So if we don't have a goal, how do we know if we're doing well? If we don't have a goal, how are we supposed to know what we need to do every day to get there? We don't. We're not purposeful. We're entrepreneurial. Lastly, accountability. Who's good for accountability? If you tell your wife and your kids and your yoga instructor and you tell everybody, hey, my goal is to get X, Y, or Z, some of them might care, some might not. So I guess we need to be careful who we bring into our world for accountability. The yoga instructor may not care, but your family's definitely going to care. I'm going to care. You need an accountability person? Tell me. Let's do it. I want to see everybody break through their natural ability ceiling and live the biggest life you can imagine. Nothing would give me greater joy than seeing all of us living the biggest lives we could. I don't know. That gets me excited. How about you guys? Okay. Do you guys find this stuff interesting? Good. There's actually a class Sean is teaching. I usually don't plug classes in the morning, but I'm going to plug this one, the 6 personal perspectives. And it's going to be on Thursday. What I just talked about, E to P, is actually one of the personal perspectives. So let's put that in your calendar, put that in there. And hey, one more question. Who is ready to bust through that natural ability ceiling and become purposeful?